When Emily told me she was going on a girls' trip, I just smiled. Not because I believed her, but because I already knew the truth. See, for the past 6 months, something had been off. She was on her phone late at night, always turning the screen away when I walked into the room. Suddenly, she started hitting the gym more often, buying new clothes, even changing her perfume. When I asked who she was texting all the time, she rolled her eyes and said, "Stop being insecure, Jake." That was her favorite line. "You're too jealous. You're paranoid. You're controlling." For a while, I believed her. I told myself maybe I was being too suspicious, maybe I was overthinking things. But deep down, I knew better. The night before her trip, I offered to drop her at the airport, but she quickly refused. No, I'll just grab a ride with the girls. You don't need to bother." That was all the confirmation I needed. So while she packed her suitcase, I stayed calm. I smiled, kissed her goodnight, and told her to have fun. And as soon as she left the next morning, I got to work. I had already installed a tracker on her car weeks earlier, just in case my gut feeling was right. When I pulled up the app on my phone, I saw her car was nowhere near the airport. In fact, it wasn't even near the highway leading out of town. It was parked at a luxury resort 2 towns over. I sat there in my kitchen, staring at the blinking dot on my phone, my heart pounding. For a moment, I thought about driving there right away, catching her in the act. But then I took a deep breath and realized, no. That's what she'd expect me to do. Show up angry, yell, make a scene, give her an excuse to play the victim. Instead, I poured myself a cup of coffee and smiled again. If Emily wanted to play games, I was going to play smarter. I spent the next 2 days gathering everything I needed. I didn't just want to catch her. I wanted undeniable proof. First, I called a buddy of mine, Nate, who worked as a private investigator. He owed me a favor from years back, and when I explained the situation, he didn't hesitate. By that evening, Nate had driven out to the resort and sent me photos of Emily's car in the parking lot. Then came the real evidence. Pictures of Emily at the resort bar, holding hands with a man I'd never seen before. The next morning, more pictures arrived, the 2 of them eating breakfast together, laughing, acting like a couple on vacation. I stared at the photos for a long time. Strangely, I didn't feel angry anymore. The rage I expected never came. What I felt instead was clarity, a kind of cold calm that made everything sharp and simple. Emily texted me that night. "Hey babe. Having so much fun with the girls. You should relax, stop worrying about me, red heart." I looked at her message, then at the photo of her kissing that guy by the pool earlier that afternoon. My thumb hovered over the keyboard, but I didn't reply. Not yet. By the time Emily was due back, I had everything ready. I'd spoken to my lawyer and transferred our joint savings into a separate account under my name. Something perfectly legal since my paycheck funded most of it. I boxed up all her things and left them neatly stacked in the garage. When she finally came home, tanned and smiling, she acted like nothing was wrong. "Babe, you wouldn't believe what we did this weekend," she said, dropping her bag by the door. I just smiled. "I bet I can guess." Her face faltered slightly. "What's that supposed to mean?" I pulled out my phone, opened the photos Nate had sent, and handed it to her. "You forgot to invite one of your girls, I think." Her face went pale as she scrolled through the pictures, her mouth opening and closing with no words coming out. Emily's phone slipped from her hand and hit the floor with a dull thud. "Jake, it's not what it looks like," she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. I almost laughed. "Really? Because it looks exactly like my wife lying to me, cheating on me, and then telling me to stop being insecure." She reached for my arm, but I stepped back. "Jake, please, it was just a mistake. I needed space, and he just happened to be there. It didn't mean anything." I took a deep breath and let out a small, almost pitying laugh. "Emily, you didn't just make a mistake. You made a choice. And now so have I." I handed her an envelope. Inside were the legal papers I'd prepared, separation agreements, proof of the bank transfer, and a note from my lawyer. "You'll find everything you need to start fresh with whoever he is. Your stuff is in the garage. The locks will be changed tomorrow." She blinked, stunned. You're kicking me out?" "Just like that. Just like that," I said, my tone even and calm. You told me to stop being insecure, Emily. You were right. I'm not insecure anymore. I know exactly who you are and what you're capable of. And I'm done living with someone who treats me like a joke. For a moment, she just stood there, tears streaming down her face. I didn't think you'd actually leave me, she whispered. I grabbed my car keys and headed for the door. You didn't think I'd ever stand up for myself. Consider this your wake-up call. I walked out without looking back. For the first time in years, my chest felt light. The house behind me, once filled with Emily's laughter and lies, was quiet, and that silence felt like freedom. That night, I checked into a hotel and slept better than I had in months. No more pretending. No more walking on eggshells. I was free, and I had no plans to ever look back.